World War II was fought between two forces, the Allied and the Axis. The Axis power consisted of Germany, Italy, and Japan, being the most dominant of the others. On the other hand, the same countries in the Allied powers were Great Britain, the US, France, New Zealand, India, the Soviet Union, Canada, and Greece. Adolf Hitler became in power of the National Socialist Party in 1921. By 1933, the once unknown Hitler was given dictatorial power. As his power grew, the new dictator grew more hungry of power and restrictive. Books were burned, Jewish businesses were boycotted. The Nazi Party was finally made. Concentration camps were made and open all in the first year of Adolf Hitler's power. In 1940, Italy declared war on France and Britain. The first air raids took place and many countries were raided and alliances were formed. The first gas chamber was used at Auschwitz. 33,771 Jews were killed at Kiev in 1941. On December 7, 1941, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. The next day, the United States entered the war and declared war on Japan. Britain declared war on Japan too. By the 11th, Germany declared war on the United States. The Declaration of the United Nations on the first day of 1942 signed the Allied nations. Also in 1942, mass murder began in Auschwitz. As months go by, Germany started losing more and more battles. Throughout 1944, Germany began retreating and surrendering from many stands and many battles. The Allied invaded France on June 6, 1944, and Paris was liberated in August. In Auschwitz, the last gas chamber was used in the last year of 1944. In the summer of 1944, with massive and unstoppable forces on the Western Allies pushing from the west and south, and massive unstoppable Russian forces pushing from the east with devastating and massive air bombardment, both tactical and strategic, that the exhausted Luftwaffe could not stop, and with his submarines now being hunted instead of being the hunters, it's obvious that Hitler already lost the war, presenting the war as a campaign of liberation of the population from Stalin's brutal regime in order to soften Russia's existence. But Hitler interfered with military conduct of the invasion from the beginning, and the unpredictable Nazi Party's brutality, which intended to decimate and enslave them. It left the tough Russian people to do no other choice but to fight their toughest war, and to use their endless resources better than ever. In December of 1941, at the gates of Moscow, Hitler's war was lost. It still took about 3.5 years of fighting thanks to the skills of the German soldiers, but he could no longer win it. Over 60 million people were killed. The majority of them were civilians. There were huge losses in the Soviet Union and China. But the most damaged country was Poland. Massive destruction and economic dislocation characterized most of Europe, East Asia, and Southeast Asia, and portions of North Africa. The war and its ending brought enormous population movement. Countries faced massive reconstruction, and the defeated faced many repercussions. On the upside, the war brought new developments in technology and medicine, which transformed post-war life. We may have won World War II, but at what cost? Millions were killed and lots of destruction.